It has been raining nonstop and I've been wanting to make this video. The sun finally came out. So I asked you guys last week to comment below a bunch of questions that you would want me to answer. And so I'm gonna answer all of those questions. Hopefully I'm gonna get through all of them right now. So let's get into it. Thank you, Michael, for asking how much time and importantly, how much cost are you willing to spend in creating prototypes into working effects? And I think that's a really good question because how do we know if we should be spending a lot of money, a lot of time into one idea? And I think it boils down into how much you believe in it. So what I mean by that is if you really believe in your trick, for instance, I believe 150,000% behind Dex. So if you have something you believe in that much, so that when you spend a lot of time and a lot of cost in it, because it is, I guess, equal to your passion. And I think that's key. To answer our next question, I'm gonna have to go, my favorite magician is Danny Ortiz. I love how he truly makes you feel like magic, even though he's not doing anything. And that's the beauty of it. It just seems so natural, and that's what I love. And my favorite trick, I'm gonna have to go with, I'm a favorites person. I don't have a favorite food or a favorite anything, so this is tough for me. But I'm gonna go with card in pocket. That's the one that I can say. The one that I really is my favorite, it's a new trick that I've been working on, but it uses Dex, and I can't really talk much about it. But thank you so much for your question. What inspired me into magic? I'm gonna probably have to say my dad. He used to perform magic tricks to me, or I should do quotation marks, just throwing stuff over my head or putting magnets under things so that I wouldn't be able to move them, stuff like that. So I think definitely that got me into magic. And I think the driving force that keeps me going is this. I mean, we see it everywhere. Just a tree is magical in itself, or at least that's what I think. Anything that you look at, anything that you see, technically inspires me to make stuff. Like tree has to do with life, so anything that you can make appear. So just by looking at a tree, you can think bringing things into life, but making things appear. And it is those things that I try to, hopefully that people will subconsciously pick up on when they see magic. I think for now, we'll give it a little stop right here and we'll get into the next one. Thank you, Matt, for asking if I have any advice on how to approach people to show them magic. I'm gonna throw the question onto you guys. Would you guys like me to make a whole entire video answering this question? Because I have a lot of ideas and a lot of tips on how to deal with that, especially with things that I used to do in the past, which is I would give myself challenges. For instance, one thing would be to perform a magic trick to a stranger without saying a single word. So I would go there, just mime opening up the cards and having them take it. There's so many different ways in which we can do that, but doing things like that makes it so that when you do a normal trick, it is that much easier because now you don't have to worry about doing it without saying any words or doing it on your knees or calling the spectator a different name every single time. Another advice would be get the one trick that you've done the most and then go perform that one. Especially if it's a self-working trick where you know there's no way nothing could go wrong. Doing those types of tricks first to your spectators before moving on to more complicated ones is going to start giving you that confidence to just go up to any stranger and perform anything at all that you want. But do comment down below if you're interested in me making a video where I go more in depth answering this question. All right, we're gonna do a couple more questions here. It is so nice. I have the water running through, the breeze is beautiful. It is a little chilly, but we're gonna go on to the next question, which is the magician that fools me the most. And I'm gonna have to say it is Danny Ortiz. Once again, he tends to fool me with things that I already know, which means he fooled me with psychology and just the way that he is and the structure of the routine, which is technically what I love most about magic. And when it comes to what trick I would want to be able to do, it is the one where you just hold the coin just at the very little tiny fingertips here. You blow and then it vanishes. To me, I haven't been able to do that. I've tried to practice it a couple times, but I just haven't been able to do it. Thank you so much for your question. Our next question comes from Chris James Magic. Thank you so much for your question. And that is, if I take notes when creating or coming up with ideas. And the answer is yes, especially lately I have been writing down more details that I think I need. So I try to see it in my head, see the idea that I had, and then I don't just put the bare bones idea. I used to do that and then I wouldn't be able to recall it. So I try to infuse as much details in my initial idea so that when I do look at it back again, I can recall it back as much as possible. Our next question is, what's my favorite coffee? I tend to really like Central American coffee, so if it's from like Nicaragua or Honduras, I tend to really like it. And the first trick I ever came up with was a card gimmick in which I'm gonna go like this, in which I would take the card and then it would turn into a cube. Then inside of that cube would be the spectator's card. Now, I don't remember how it worked or how I did it. This was probably over 15 or 17 years ago, maybe even more. But thank you so much for your question. I had not remembered about that trick in a very long time. We now have the man and the legend himself asking, what was the trick that fooled me the most? And I'm gonna have to say that it was a trick by Think Nguyen, and it's called the surprise. He performed this to me. I'm actually in the instructions, but he performed this in front of me, I would say 3 or 4 times in a row. Every single time it was exactly the same. It worked perfectly. I just had absolutely no idea as to how he was doing what he did. So I highly recommend you check it out. It's called The Surprise by Think Nguyen. It destroyed my mind. For this next question, I actually brought it. So what is your favorite trick to do with a lighter? So I'm gonna stop right here and show you. For me is this little, kind of just have to, what is it called? It's a little cold, but you just remove the sticker off of the lighter, and then all you do is you light it like this. Hopefully it's too cold, and then it goes back on. Actually, we are super mega close to 3 of the largest magic companies, or the giants in the world. We have Murphy's Magic right over here. We have Penguin Magic right over there. And then we have Vanishing Ink down the other way. If it didn't rain all weekend long, I would have gone and shown you guys. But let me know if this is something you guys want to see, and then maybe I can give you guys a one-wheel ride so that you guys can see where, and we're going in a little tunnel. So let me show you. But let me know if you want in the comments below. I will do a little ride for you guys so you guys can see where Penguin Magic, Vanishing Ink, and Murphy's Magic, or at least their warehouse, where they are situated. When did you first learn your first magic trick? So I'm gonna say I'm from Venezuela, and I used to have a huge magic kit. I think the first one was with 150 items, and then my cousin gave me one that had like 250. So I'm gonna probably say television was my first trick. And then I moved to the US, and the first trick I learned here in the US was an official trick called the stripper deck. So I didn't know at first. I thought it was really weird that it was called the stripper deck, but that was one of the first official tricks that I learned. So yeah, thank you so much for your question. My favorite sleight of hand move to practice, I'm gonna show you. So let's take a look. All right, so let me show you. Right here, I basically like to just continuously practice the DPS. I don't do it really well. I don't think I have a good one. It is just the one that I like to practice and play with. But the one I practice the most is technically the double lift. So I just like to play with that as much as possible. Jerry, you have made my wife's day. Thank you so much. When she read that comment, she really loved it. And that kind of is answering your question. So my wife technically is the one that's moving the camera in all of the latest videos. So thank you so much, babe. I love you. And I'm super thankful that you helped me out. You're amazing. And she's the one that's been doing all of the camera work. The only thing I do in post is add a couple of the zooms in and out, but that's pretty much it. Everything else, my wife does it. And I want to mention that she has no experience, no training, no nothing. She just has that magical eye. And for that, I thank you. All right, so Max is asking, how do I go about creating magic? And there are so many different ways in which I do it. The best way in which I like to come up with magic is when I see something that I don't like. So I may see a trick that I like, I just don't like how it's done, or there's a bit of it that I don't like. I try to come up with something to fix that, let's call it a problem. So I think of myself as a problem solver rather than like a magician coming up with methods. Tyler is asking where I get my creativity from. And sometimes I feel like it just downloads into me because I didn't consciously think of what I wanted to come up with. And whenever there's a problem, which is usually how I come up with tricks, the solution almost appears. It's almost as if I have, or as if there is, the tools that I'm aware of, and then whenever I need to make use of those tools, whether it's something that I've thought of or it's to solve a problem, I can just take those, and then using those tools, I'm able to create, let's say, something new. But in reality, it is grabbing from many different places and many different things that we already know in order to create something new. Hopefully that makes sense. This is a very easy question, and the answer is no, I am not a member of the 52. It would be cool though, but I'm not. Thanks for your question. So what are my go-tos for hecklers? I try to not even get hecklers. So I try to be as friendly and as nice and as loving as humanly possible. And I'm also very particular to which spectators I choose, but I think it is my attitude and not having a combative or like I'm better than you type of thing. It's almost like you do things together with them. And I also like to experience the magic with them as well, which then that puts me in their shoes. So if I don't know how something works, I'm just like them. Maya is asking if there's a book I could recommend on misdirection or psychological approach on misdirection, or if I can do a video on that topic. So would you guys like me to make a video on that? Leave a comment below. And then a book I would recommend, you could check out the work of either Tommy Wonder, Slidini. Any of those magicians are going to really give you a grasp on what misdirection is. All right, so we have another question from Maya, and you want to make your moves like smoother or more natural, I guess. And I can make a video on that. So the answer to your question is yes. My first tip that comes to mind is just try out the move on its own regularly without doing the move. So if you're doing a second deal, you're practicing a second deal, deal one card, and then try to make the second deal feel like a regular deal. And then just by doing that alone, just by going off of the feeling of the move rather than how it looks, you're going to hopefully, I'm pretty sure, start improving a lot quicker. So I have only 10% I gotta get back, but that's all of the questions. I hope you guys had a good time listening to my answers. I don't know if you guys like this video, but let me know in the comments below and I will make another video for you. By the way, if you're still here, I have an amazing, incredible trick that I'm debating whether I should post it for next week. I think this is honestly a magician fooler, and it has so many different uses. So next week should be a really, really good trick if I end up deciding on on putting it out for you guys. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.